Live.
Yep.
This is so real and so raw today. It is live. And I'm using my iPhone and I'm using my iPhone internet because Spectrum decided to take a 4-hour outage on me. So here we are. This is this is how we roll. I'm Lynn Serrano.
And I don't have green walls count.
We'll
It's your green
be right
screen.
back
Get
after
it?
this.
Get it?
Okay, I don't even know if that played, Brian. I don't even know.
Did. It did play.
Did it? Okay, good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we kind of had a topic, or Brian brought a topic to me, and Brian and I haven't even gotten to talk backstage. But I think the topic he wanted was great, except that for me, I haven't read the book or know nothing about the book that he wanted to talk about. So
Neither
I
have
was
I.
just like,
Neither have I.
no, okay.
No.
I didn't know that either.
It's the topic, it's not necessarily the book, but it's like the book created the concept, you know?
Okay. Yeah, but the thing is like, and we're being technical slash sharing with people, but the thing is like if I put that title in our title, then it's Googleable. Listen, it's
No.
Googleable, and we're giving credit to a book we haven't even read. So, anyways, I'm just being goofy because I'm so out of my element here,
Hmm.
and I don't know if I'm the only gurgle or if he's the gurgle or what's happening with this today. But you know, you show up and I don't know. Am I hesitating here, Brian, or you?
Yeah, you are. I'm just waiting for what's next because we didn't have a topic or whatever, so I don't know where we're at.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess this could be a behind the scenes kind of show today because we have so many different things in the works, and I'm excited about working on a new project with you, which I don't even know if we'll get to hear much, but
No.
you've got so much value to give in the wedding industry, and we're going to look at doing a spin-off and getting all that knowledge and the creme de la creme of the stuff when it comes to wedding from an expert of over what, 25, 30 years.
30 years, yeah. But it's like in the eyes of anybody that is in the generation getting married, the experience doesn't matter because if you say, hey, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and if a bride and groom is 30 years old, they're like, oh, you're old, right? You know what I mean? So it's like that's got to be used pretty sparingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm getting into
Yeah.
brass tacks where
Well,
it's like, okay, somebody's doesn't know you, they have no experience to you. Um, but in the essence of with all the social media we have and proof, anybody can sugarcoat a video and add cool things and have somebody create up a really cool animated logo on Fiverr or whatever. um, but obviously, and you're not, and I'm sorry, but you're just not going to, is it easier to find education and easier to find learning this day and age? Yeah, but it goes back to Napoleon Hill and many other people, is that it doesn't mean you're going to do it. Just because it's available doesn't mean you're going to do it. And this is going back to like people that sold going door to door. Now they don't even do that. You create an ad on a social channel to get your audience, to get a message out there and get attention. So it's the age thing and how many years. I mean, but if you've been doing the same thing over and over again, I've learned is that it's kind of like 1 year, however many years on repeat. So you want to puff out your chest in a prideful way to say, well, I've got 35 years of experience. Yeah. How many years have you been doing the same thing over again without changing up what you're doing or
yeah.
retooling what you're doing or learning something new and serving in a deeper way? So
Well,
there's, go ahead.
and, and no, all I was going to say is that I think what's really important for people to know too, though, I would want to ask somebody that's had experience or been to several weddings, as opposed to some textbook that doesn't pop out at you and explains the pros and cons to everything you choose to do.
Right.
Because you,
Well,
like you said, you're only doing this once, right?
well, and plus there's a lot to be said for marketing advertising to have an awareness of expertise and whatnot, but there's also something to be said for just somebody that is driven by mastery. And they don't need the kudos, they don't need the accolades, they don't need the awards, right? Because they're on a path. And to me, that's my path. Yeah, I would rather prove what I know and in all of that behind the scenes, but in a very humble way, than to feel like I have to broadcast it everywhere and spend lots of money on this or that and advertising and marketing, which that's not what I do. And I think that live streaming is a great way to do that, because I don't know of any channel so far that talks about weddings in a real authentic and honest way, where we're not making it about ourselves. We're not trying to we're not trying to sell you on something. We're not trying to get you to perceive, hey, buy my stuff. There is no channels out there that even come to my knowledge that really give you the skinny about various different wedding topics and that can really help you. Because weddings that are inferior are always going to happen. They're always just going to happen. But if I can help curb some of those couples realize what they're getting into and what is a priority to them or who is a priority to them, and really identifying why their wedding exists. Why are they having this wedding? Because they can get married for little or nothing. But the experience that they want to create, family, friends, gathering, reception, ceremony, this elaborate thing, why are they doing it? There's a story there. And I think that there's just so much content out there that needs to be talked about to help people.
And I'm excited because you're planning to do this with somebody else that's been in the business for a while, correct?
Yeah, my buddy Scotty, I've known him for over 20 years. He lives in Texas, and he moved down there. He didn't know anybody. He does a lot of corporate work. He does a lot of game show type of stuff where with set pieces, and he's the master of ceremonies and director for like a Fortune 100 company. And all of his business is word of mouth referrals, and he does a lot more production, but he has a wealth of knowledge.
Wow.
And this is something that goes back probably 3 years ago, that are long, in-depth conversations where we talk about stuff, and all of a sudden it's like 3 hours later. I remember that conversation when I was in Temecula at my girl's parents' place when they lived there. Of like, man, imagine if we were able to capture these conversations and get them out there for people that can help them, that can help couples. And I think that this day and age is that content, this way of presenting content. I have no idea who's going to watch this. I have no idea who's going to watch those little clips that I created, the full length clip. But the best way to sell this day and age is to get people to want to buy themselves, where they convince themselves or they influence themselves to be like, wow, this person shared a lot of good information. I might want to reach out to them, but it's on their terms. It's not on my terms. So I'm excited for it. It's been a lot of perfectionism conversations with myself. How's it going to look? The time commitment, what are we going to talk about? And I mean, just all of that stuff that I go through, and it's just time to open up the camera, press record, and go.
Yeah. Well, if I can have a small part in that, I look forward to it.
Well, and I mean, just like how I write my content, like all my guides and everything I do with my designer, is that there are so many non-wedding or non-business related things that go into a wedding that most people aren't aware of. And I mean, to take a 10 or 15 or 20-minute show for each one of those, who knows how many years of content on a weekly basis that would create.
I'm sure, just like the volumes you have ready to publish too.
Yeah, and it's like, but small morsel bites that are easily digestible but simple. Because there's too much fluff.
Yeah.
There's too much, airy fairy, superficial. And I get it that's a marketing angle. That's an advertising angle. That it's like, if you have this product or service on the nice pages of a magazine, your wedding's going to be better. They want you to believe that, but the truth is that may or may not be true. You're falling victim to the story that they want to tell. And I just, if it doesn't fulfill you, and if it does, what's that?
I said a lot of window wash. A lot
Yeah,
of window wash as opposed to window shopping, but
and,
window wash.
and don't get me wrong, every single wedding professional is jockeying for their piece of the pie, the piece of the wedding budget. But if it does not impact a wedding, if it does, and that's up to every couple to choose. That's why I don't understand why wedding professionals go after each other when they're like, "Oh, you got more money than I did." It's like, I didn't make that choice. They chose to reserve me. Why are you getting mad at me as if like here's what I need to do to be in business. Here's what my talent's worth. Here's what my customers say I'm worth. And so too many people are jockeying back and forth because they didn't get enough big piece of the pie, so to speak. But it's like the last question that they ever want to ask is, who are the priorities of the couple? What do they want out of their wedding? What's the outcome they want to have? How do they want to feel hour by hour, moment by moment? These are the kinds of things I want to talk about in this live stream because nobody does. And if they do it from
Right.
a sales presentation thing. They do it from a way to, touch their heart through emotion and whatnot, but they don't even know how they're going to fricking do it.
Right.
There's no substance behind it. It's all smoke and mirrors.
You're definitely going to bring a perspective that others don't talk about.
Yeah.
It's there, but they don't talk about it.
Right. And it's like, I have no problem, and I was discussing this with a colleague of mine that runs a mastermind I'm a part of, is that if I was given the opportunity to sit down with a couple, go through everything, able to understand them, have a conversation, all the decision makers are there, and then let's say it doesn't work out for budget or personality issues, or they just don't understand, that's okay. But at least I know that, we invested the time, it just wasn't a fit. We just didn't have a personal connection for whatever reason, we move on our way. There's too many problems out there with couples that, and I've went deep on this in several wedding articles, where if you do not have conversations as a couple about what you want out of your wedding, who's important to you, how do you want to feel, what does it look like? They don't have to be long conversations. But if both of you are investing in this wedding financially, mentally, physically, along with parents, you owe it to yourself to have conversations where no money's on the table, that you guys are on the same page about the outcome you want out of your wedding first, and then you go seek those people. Because if you don't have a plan, if you don't know who's important on your wedding day, you're going to get on something known as a hamster wheel. And then all you're going to be looking for is dollar amounts. You're going to be looking to check off professionals like they're on a list. And you don't know if you're going to be fight or flight the whole planning process, unfortunately. That's what I've witnessed over all these years. So there's just such a wealth of content out there that nobody's talking about. They're making, very nice published videos or with a great camera and all this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, something that's raw and real from the perspective of somebody that has your best interest in mind as a customer, as a prospective customer. And it does not matter if you do business with us. That's not the point. It's to share something that could hopefully help you and save you from a wedding that you didn't want.
I love it. I love the idea. I'm looking forward to working on it.
Yeah.
And I think, well, we're in April. Shoot. Hopefully we have it right before May. I mean, maybe in the next couple of weeks we can get going.
This has been something that we've talked about for a long time. It was put on the back burner. How is it going to look? The time commitment, but it was pretty much like, for me, the fear of success, or the fear of like, where could this go? And not being ready for it. Is the content there? Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about it right now, and we don't even have a topic. But there's such a passion behind it to share with people, to hopefully save them from hearing about the wedding, or for other people sharing from a wedding that they were at that was inadequate, or could have been better, or did not impact them, or was not memorable in any way. Those are unfortunate weddings, and when people talk about those types of things, it breaks my heart, but it's going to happen every weekend because not everybody values the same things on their wedding day. It's
well, and it is just about wedding season now, right?
Right.
Wedding season is about starting, right?
Well, I mean, depending on where everybody's watching, and geographically, it's all over the place. And then obviously every wedding professional, depending on where they are, I mean, has different wedding seasons as well, you know? If we're talking, the person that does a more transactional based business where it's all based on dollars, it might not necessarily be based on quality or outcome or results. Their schedule might be busier than others where they're looking for a very niche customer where they're charged with presenting and delivering a certain type of outcome that they can't do every weekend because it's just not possible, right? So there's every wedding season, and plus even going down to the dynamic of the particular business. Are they a small boutique style single operator, or are they multi-system, or do they have multiple consultants? That how big is the company versus how small? And Lynn just went away, so I'm going to keep talking. So it's a very fascinating, but also though a very there's a lot to be shared, and I can't wait to get it out there. And until I do it, it's always going to just drive me nuts. And
yeah,
I just it's kind of like
you
writing
gotta get it
books.
started.
Like I remember, author that we both love, Scott McCain, right? He's a big storyteller, customer experience expert. Is that he's like, Brian, how many people will it take? When I was talking about books, he asked me a question. He goes, how many people will it take to know or not know that you've influenced by your writings to make it all worthwhile? And I said, well, if I can help one bride, one mom, one, groom, or one family member go from a wedding that they didn't know was available from something that they just had to settle for, or to save them from the inferior outcome that they didn't want, that's worth everything to me. And so by this live streaming and by these shows, having that reservoir and that legacy of content that, in my opinion, is going to be timeless. Nothing goes away in the wedding industry. I mean, besides maybe fashion or something, but things about business and value and the experience a couple's looking to create, that's never going to go out of style, And I think that people that emerge, whatever those buzzwords are in any industry, there's going to be people that take those words and put them on business cards and update their website, copy, but it doesn't necessarily mean they embody that stuff or study it. Like somebody that says, oh, customer experience. Okay, I got to use that word now. Well, you don't even know what it is, and then you're doing it from a sales. Go ahead. What's that, Lynn?
I said trending just at the moment,
Yeah, trending at the moment, but it's like, okay, if you embody something, this is not an overnight understanding. This is something that you live for. This is something you study and something you nurture. It's not something, because I want to make money off of this. So it's a word that somebody types up on Google and then my website pops up.
Well, and the thing is, we've talked about this topic many times, and the standpoint that you come from, you've got everyday like family activities, reunions, events. I mean, you give nuggets for any kind of gathering.
Right.
And that's what I think is really cool about you. The knowledge that you have is amazing alone and should be shared.
And I
That's
think
my 2 cents.
It's great that you touched on that because without even realizing it, I've had several people tell me that they made me realize it without even noticing, is that my writing is written in a universal way where it might be catered towards weddings, but the thought process could be easily exchanged with other events, galas, corporate events, fundraisers, whatever it might be. And so I never realized it until they said that. So I could exchange out weddings for whatever it is.
I've said it several times to you too.
Yeah. And so I think too many people, obviously, the wedding industry is multi-billion dollars a year, and they stand out as the creme brulee of what everybody wants to get into, right? But are you doing it is somebody getting into the wedding industry because they want to be good at it, they want to be a student of it, and they really feel like they can make a difference, or is it because they can make the biggest money, But I think also, though, just because it has a lot of money involved in it doesn't mean that you just can come in without being prepared, without having an education, like as being like a master of ceremonies. I love it when I run into couples where, they tell me about some other talent perhaps. And I'm like, What is the definition of a master of ceremonies?
That's a
What did
good
the person
question.
tell you about that embodied them being a master of ceremonies versus it just being on a business card? And they're like, wow, that's a really good question. I'm like, because this is a role. This is somebody that has a microphone for a reason on your wedding day. They know as much, if not more, than anybody else in your room, catering considered. You know, it's not just this, oh, wow, cool. We're getting a better value because we got a master of ceremonies at our wedding. But they don't study it as a student. A master of ceremonies, you know, the fundamental understanding of all the wedding history of why everything happens the way that it does. Now, it might not be traditional, but there's a root to why things happen at weddings. And to know that and to be able to refresh it, like, what's the point of a cake cutting? What's the proper etiquette of a cake cutting? Those are all things a master of ceremonies knows because they studied it, versus somebody that, you know, that's like, well, I make announcements. Okay, that's one component. What else? Are you a storyteller? Do you do storytelling? Have you studied storytelling? Because that's definitely not a discipline that you just want to throw, you know, you write a story and think you're all that. I mean, there's famous storytellers that do workshops, but they continue to hone their craft at storytelling. And that's been 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you know, and those are the most highly acclaimed storytellers where you just hear their name or their voice and it's like, oh, that's so-and-so, you know? So there's a lot to it and I love it, but there's just so many layers to this.
Yeah, for sure. And I look forward to unpeeling that onion with you. I hope that this recording is hearable, seeable. I guess I'll
Hearable.
have to review it, but hearable, whatever.
Hearable. I love
It's a
it.
Monday. It's a Monday. I mean, I just
That's a
can't believe my
Lynnism right
internet's
there.
doing this to me.
We haven't talked about Lynnisms in a while, like hereism.
I just have to laugh because this is just, that's what happens when you go live. You don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there she is. Yeah, so for everybody that's tuning in, thank you for being a viewer and watching our show today. Lynn's internet service took a little bit of a dive, and they said that they would be up in about 4 hours. So yeah, she gave the. It looks like she clicked off here. We will be returning next week with another topic, another show. We were just kind of knowing that happened with her internet. We just thought we would go live and just talk about whatever. So everybody knows I will be working on a wedding show with Lynn. She'll be the producer. I'll have a friend of mine from Texas, my buddy Scotty, for over 20 years. We will be doing a show together. And Lynn, welcome back. I was just recapping what we talked about in your internet and the show that's coming up that you'll be producing for me.
And now I'm back, but I don't know for how long. So I'm glad it didn't kick you out.
Yeah. So any final words
All right,
before
love
we?
you, Brian.
I think it's probably a good time for us to adjourn for the week. So any final words?
Well, just the final words is I'm looking forward to just saying let's slap another show in there and let's, instead of talking about it, let's just do it and roll with it. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, the wedding industry needs something like this, as I mentioned, like something specifically speaking to wedding customers or couples that are ready to walk down the aisle to reduce their stress, to help them, but in a no nonsense, real format, and which ties into the brand here of Real and Raw, but specific to weddings, where we're going to get down to very deep conversations, but in maybe a 10 or 15-minute window, and just make it very accessible.
Maybe you could call it real. Maybe you could call it Real and Raw wedding something or another.
Yep. I want to keep within the brand that you've established and you're going to create your channel off of. So, you know, your TV station, TV channels. So I want to keep it in alignment with that, but also not immerse everybody in crazy graphics and all of that. Nothing against that stuff, but the content. The content is undeniable.
Yes, absolutely.
And so anybody that hears anything, it makes them think like, what if? It gets them to think in such a way that they've never thought before. That's the whole intention of the show.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And the Lynn TV station is going to be all about edutainment too. So I know you're going to bring the edutainment into the fullest with that whole brand of wedding style that you
I'm
have.
certainly going to try. I mean, it's a unique perspective, but it's just something that has to be shared out there in the world. So looking forward to it with you.
All right. Love you, Brian. See you
Love you
next week.
too. See you next week, everyone. Thanks for
And I
tuning
hope
in.
I have internet.
Bye,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.